Let's talk about texture layering in VTuber models. Quick disclaimer, this is supposed to be more of an intermediate tutorial, so if you're still figuring out the basics of VTuber art and rigging, then I would suggest that you do that first before coming back to this video. With that out of the way, let's get going. The simplest form of doing textures, which you're likely going to learn first, is of course to have everything on one single layer. So we have the line work, the color, the shading, all on one single layer. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it this way, but if we do want to bring out more from our art, then there's definitely ways to do that too. One way to do this without overcomplicating anything too much right away is to have your base layer, so your line work, your base shading, your color, and then have a second layer as your highlight, which you can independently move around to create a sort of more dynamic effect. One method that you're probably going to see a lot is to have a separate lines layer, a color layer, and a separate shading layer. So that's 3 different textures for one singular part. Moving the shading layer independently from the other ones allows you to create an almost 3D-like effect as you turn your model around. Of course, should you so desire, then you can of course add even more textures. For example, if we take a look at the close of this model, then we have a base color layer and a lines layer, of course. We have a base shading layer, which we can move around. There's a hard shadow layer for all the shadows that are casted by the clothing folds. There's a softer shadow layer, which can also be moved around. And there's another extra highlight layer up here. So that's 6 different textures for one single piece of the model. So you can definitely overcomplicate this a lot if you wish to do so, but I do urge you to be considerate of hardware limitations of either yourself or your client if you're doing commissions. Because you still want to be able to actually run the model, probably also while also having streaming or recording software running, possibly even some other software if you want to do some other things while streaming. But within your technical limitations, you can of course play around with this as much as you want. And I hope that you have fun while doing that. I'll see you again soon.